Stop assuming you know what other people are thinking, saying, and doing. You never know why somebody's doing what they're doing ever. I don't care who they are. I don't care if you've known them your whole life. I don't care if they're your spouse. It doesn't matter. We don't know. You know how I know we don't know? Because when I work with people, they don't know why they're doing it. So how could you know? Most conflicts are misunderstandings. All anybody wants in their life is to be understood. If I understand you, you're going to feel loved. But to understand is to love. So I'm taking the time to love you enough to understand you. And now when you're feeling understood, you feel loved. And then you want to love me and understand me. Hey, guys, it is Alison. I am the host of your show, Alison Answers Mission Awake. I cannot wait to sit down with you today and go over how we are going to crush the mediocrity in your life that has been plaguing our society since the beginning of time. I cannot wait to have a real deal conversation that includes intelligence, fun, excitement, and real actionable steps to make a real difference in the life that you're living now and making it into something you can be damn proud of and excited to live. Sit down, put on your damn seatbelt, and get ready for the ride of your life. Hey guys, how are you today? We're going to talk about subtext. And do you really know what other people are saying? And I'm going to give you a really amazing life hack that will change your entire life and the way that you relate to other people. And what it is this. I want you to slow down and be a wise observer. If you're in a conversation with someone, look at them, lean back, breathe, and listen. And when you're listening, one of the things I do in therapy or really just in life, as being a more connected person, the way that I become a more connected person is by listening, observing the subtext. Usually you can hear a message happening underneath the message that's coming out verbally. But if you don't, you can hear it in your mind. You can see it with vision. You can understand it with your heart if you're willing to do so. The very, very important thing to do in your life is to be able to stop and slow down if you want connected and really intimate relationships, or even just to understand human beings. It is of great value. So I'll give you an example. Here you go. Someone's saying, "Oh my God, it's so great to see you, blah, blah, blah." And you can feel this rate of speech. When you hear, and you can also hear the choppiness. Start to listen to the sounds within the sounds. Listen to, so if I said saying, "Oh my God, how are you doing?" And the other day I was going like this, and you can hear a staccato rhythm. And very often what that will tell you is some form of higher energy, some form, it could be anxiety, could be excitement, but the experience that the person has on the other end of listening to that or observing that can start to heighten your heart rate. You can start to feel your energy in a more staticky way start to raise up, which will then impact the way that you're interacting. You may want to pull back. You may start to feel yourself a little bit out of breath, or you start to feel your shoulders rise. You will notice that if you start to do that with a person, you may notice a person pulling back. They may be hearing a message that they don't know that they're hearing. The message could be, "Please like me, please like me. What can I do to make you like me?" Or I'm so anxious, I don't know what to do. Or it's like, like, "This is a scary world." We don't know exactly what people are saying if we're not really listening to what's underneath and feeling it in our body. So one of the ways to be able to tell that is to be able to say to yourself, as a wise observer, I'm going to listen to more than one level in a conversation. We are taught to live in a linear world that's just based on outside things that are happening outside of us. So I see just in any kind of conflict resolution or any kind of couples therapy, you can hear that a person will say, "Well, she didn't say that. You didn't say that. You said this. I remember. I know you said this, and this." But they're focused on just the actual words. Then the other person will be saying, "No, I said that I loved you and I was worried about the relationship." But the other person hears you saying something that's critical. Because there's an underlying message. If we slow down in a relationship and we listen to what the person is really saying, usually when someone is reactive, if they're even attacking, it's usually because they're afraid. So as a person who loves them, we might stop and say, what is it that, what's happening? What's bothering you? What's underneath it? What's the threat? Whenever I feel any sense of judgment towards a person, or any sense of like defensiveness, or like, feeling like I'm judged, or like any kind of a thing, I ask myself, what is the threat here for me right now? And you'd be surprised if you're willing to hear the answer, you'll start to know that you're feeling something that you're actually not saying. So when people are attacking someone, the other person is hearing, they don't love me, they don't like me, they don't respect me, they hate me. This is how they see me as a person. But what could really be happening inside of you is that you're desperately trying to reach them, and you're desperately trying to connect. And these are missed things that are happening in relationships all across the world. It's a really serious matter. It's something that is very easily fixed. So if there's any couple, if there's any friendship, if there's any situation that I can help, I want to help. So I want you to think about these kinds of things. Start to listen. Listen with your heart. Say, what is my wife really saying? Is my wife afraid? So if I ask someone, I'll hear two people talking to one another, and they're both like saying, well, you did that. And you say, well, I did that because you did that. And you did that because I did that. But it's true. We never do anything because of somebody else. We do everything because of us. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you, but this is fact. And it's time that we wake up and we say, I am responsible for every thought, every feeling, every action, every reaction that I have inside of my body. And it is my determination. It is my decision what I do with that feeling, that reaction, and all of those things involved. You guys have heard me talk a million times about emotional sobriety. And emotional sobriety is a non-reactive state. Emotional sobriety is being impacted by things around us, which is every stinking day, all day long, every moment, and then stopping and asking the question, how come this situation is having such an incredible impact on me? What is this situation telling me about what I need to grow in, where I need to learn? What is it showing me? What opportunity is it giving me to become the best version of myself? What is it showing me about stuff that's stored inside of me and buried alive that I have not seen, but I keep seeing it. It keeps popping up here and there and there, and it keeps showing itself in patterns again and again with a different cast of characters. And I'm like, I don't know why these people treat me this way. It's not them. Do you understand? I'm telling you now, it's not them. It's us. Anything that happens in our world, I am responsible for the 3 feet around me. You're responsible for the 3 feet around you. Get a hula hoop, put it over your head, and understand that this is your responsibility. It is not someone else's responsibility to make your life better, to make you feel differently inside. It is your job. It is my job to do that for myself. So what we do is we stop tinkering around and trying to manipulate ourselves in order to get other people to do what we want, or to feel a certain way about us. And we stop manipulating others to get them to do the thing that will make us feel better inside. The truth is that adults with other adults do not have as much power as we give them. We give them that power because it's coming from an underlying childhood programming that's much more vulnerable, that makes us feel young, scared, shame, all different kinds of things that feels like this other person has this power over us. They don't. They don't have power over us. An adult can leave another adult. They can't abandon them. An adult can abandon a child. And I'm not saying that it doesn't feel horrible if someone leaves or they dramatically leave or they leave you hanging with a bunch of adult responsibilities. So even if we're talking about somebody who's left with children and no money or something like that, that's true. That is like a really rough thing. And it feels like abandonment. And it's betrayal and it's all those things, but you're an adult. And it is true that there's resources and there's things that you can do even internally to understand that, yes, this hurts. Yes, this feels like abandonment, but let me go inward and remember any moments that I felt so vulnerable as a child. It might have been that I was crying in a crib for way too long, or my parents were having me cry it out, and I learned helplessness. And just to give you a side note, learned helplessness is something that is connected to depression. So if as a child you learned that no one's coming to help me today, whatever it is that I need, we're born a bundle of needs. So when we have all these needs, we desperately want, our caregivers to respond to those needs. And when they don't, there's a mismatch in parenting or something like that. When they don't, then there's this sense that you have to shut down that part of you that needs. You have to shut down the part of you that feels desperate and scared and all those things that happen when you're like, oh my God, I'll die if someone doesn't feed me. Oh my God, I'll die if they don't come and get me out of this crib because I was made for connection and now I'm suddenly separated. Hey, guys, how are you? I want to just give a shameless plug of my book. I would really want people to have a good look at my book and to understand what it really is. I used to be ashamed to plug my book. And then I realized, how is that right? To keep the information, the 30 years of experience that I have, the 8 years of education, the trauma that I grew out of and learned how to manage and how to manage emotion, all the training I've had in neuroscience and quantum physics. How can I keep that from the public? So it's not, I used to think it was like something I should, be humble about, but being humble is silly when you're keeping things away from people that they need. So what I want to tell you about my book, and I hope that you do get it because I think it will really help you. I've gotten a lot of tremendous feedback about my book and that it's really, really of great value to a lot of people. And what it is, it's an interactive read, and there's inside of it, there's journal entries. So as I'm teaching and going through the book and teaching you how to create the life you want by understanding how you're wired, how your thoughts, feelings, how your words, how thoughts are things, and the neuroscience behind it, and how we are programmed from the time we're 0 to 7 years old to live a life of mediocrity or a life of poor design because of meaning that we attached to events when we were children that just became our programming. What I want to tell you is that there is a way out, and it's a simple way. It's very simple. I believe in the simplicity and the grace in healing, and that it doesn't have to be a big work. So I would love it if you'd get my book. It's a best-selling book on Amazon, and it's my first. And I encourage you to get it. It's called The Wake Up Call, an interactive read for building the life you want. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Thanks so much for being on the show, and let's get back to it. So all of those internal emotions, believe me, a lot of them are stored inside of us. So with the restoration and the transformation of a human life, which actually can happen, comes with, I love the quote by Alvin Toffler. It says, the illiterate of the 21st century are not those that cannot read or write. It are those who cannot learn, unlearn, and learn again. So what we've learned in childhood is a lot of things. We've been programmed. I say it all the time, from 0 to 7 years old, we're in a theta brainwave, which means that we're in a hypnotic state. So we're being programmed, which is necessary in terms of developing all this programming necessary to live on this earth, peppered in with all of our interpretation of our environment, the meaning we've attached to all different events, and how it then takes play and runs in our life and determines all of our decisions. So in moments where you believe, oh my God, I'm not good enough. No one called me off of the soccer field. Like I was the last one picked. Or, my mom didn't come. Or my mom didn't see that I was crying in the corner. One thing happened to me. I was in the Montessori school. They started me young, those people, my parents. I was 2.5 years old, and I was in the Montessori school. And there was we were all sitting out on the ground on a mat. And they said, one by one, we'll call you. And when we call you, you'll come to your workstation, because Montessori school, you worked, but it was good. It was like, learning how to be intelligent and develop and do all these things. It was fantastic. But so they called every single child except me. I was 2.5 years old. So I was obedient. I sat there. I sat there. I sat there. I sat there. No one came. There's these adults there, there's kids working at all these different stations. Can you imagine what a little 2.5-year-old girl feels? Well, I felt like I kept looking around. I didn't want to ask. I didn't want to say anything. I thought it was me. What's wrong with, how come they didn't call me? Am I bad? Am I not the same as the other children? What is it about me? Look down. What is it? What's wrong with me? Think about that. Now that's just someone overlooking you. Do you know that I never said anything? And I sat there and my memory is that I waited forever, but who knows? It could have been 5 minutes, but to the child's mind, it was forever. And and children are wet cement. That right there was stored in me. And I know it was, so, part of it, I'm very friendly. I like to be seen. We all like to be seen, but you know what? I often feel unseen. So what is that in a crowd? So it could be just that one little influence. So I want you to understand, when you start to become aware of things and you start having reactionary experiences in the world that you're in. So let's just say somebody didn't notice me in a room. This hasn't really happened to me now, but I'm using it as an example. I could suppose I had a really strong reaction. That in a marriage, something like that could be that a wife could, let's say a husband forgot her somewhere or something. She could have like a violent, crazy reaction. I never did this, just, clear the decks, for my record. But if that did, you could see how that could be stored somewhere in her and she wouldn't even remember it. But she would see, it has to be him. How could he be that inconsiderate? How could he not know? How could he know how that much that would hurt me? He didn't know. He forgot. He's just a human being and he's just a man. He's just a person. So do you see what I'm saying? That the part of you that's talking in that moment is not this other version of you. It's this. If we were using my example, it's the 2.5-year-old who is so confused, so alone, doesn't know what to do, feels less than everyone in the room, feels completely invisible. So if you think of that, think of how that one little incident could play into a marriage and freaking destroy it. It could. So, or a boy whose mother always lied to them all the time. And then he always perceives, he never really fully trusts his wife. These are things that really happen in life. And I would attribute a lot of this to 60% divorce rate. So I'm here to tell you, there are very, very simple things to do. Stop assuming you know what other people are thinking, saying, and doing. You never know why somebody's doing what they're doing ever. I don't care who they are. I don't care if you've known them your whole life. I don't care if they're your spouse since you're a child. It doesn't matter. We don't know. Because you know how I know we don't know? Because when I work with people, they don't know why they're doing it. So how could you know? And the assumptions that happen with human beings, a very big thing that happens is that every single one of us has a perception of the other person's perception of us. And that perception that we have of their perception of us dictates the way we feel around them, the way we act around them, the things we choose around them. If you are in a relationship or in any kind of dynamic with a human being who thinks, they think that you're cluttered, or they think you're scattered, or they think whatever, you're mean, you're going to act differently around them than if they thought you were smart and funny and cute and all these great things. You'd probably act smart, funny, cute. If you think that they think you are, I don't know, a liar, you're going to feel weird telling them something. You're going to feel like you're lying. Think about that for a few moments. Understand there's a lot more happening in communication that most of the world is recognizing. And I'm hopeful that I am able to tell as many people as I can the truth of this information, because I honestly know this. And to me, the most important thing that we could ever do is to improve relationships and connections and stop the conflict, the difficulties, the misunderstandings. Most conflicts are misunderstandings. All anybody wants in their life is to be understood. I know that's what I want. And to be understood is to be loved, is to be seen. Why do you think social media is so powerful, and likes and all that? Oh my God, nobody liked my picture. It's like you feel like, uh-oh, I didn't get my dopamine hit. Remember that everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be understood. And the greatest gift you can give other people is to take the time to really try to understand. If you don't understand, ask. Ask the question, don't assume. The thing about being a person, if I understand you, you're going to feel loved. But to understand is to love. So I'm taking the time to love you enough to understand you. And now when you're feeling understood, you feel loved. And then you want to love me and understand me. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. And we'll discuss that more at another time. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the show. I just want to say to you that we are all together a part of the Mission Awake, a mission that's going to stop the mediocrity that's plaguing all of us. So if you got something here today, I ask that you would be a part of this mission and you'd share it with whoever you can. Take a screenshot of the show and share it on your Instagram. If you are looking for me, you can find me on social media platform Instagram, Alison Answers, or Lager Counseling Services. And give us a review and subscribe if you could to YouTube, Alison Answers. That's where you're going to get a lot of content. I drop stuff every day, goofy stuff, all different kinds of stuff. 5-minute videos that just get you moving in your day. Have a great week. See you next time.